Hello again. We're going to start our program. We got a lot of things that I hope we can cover. There's those little cards with those blue coats on them. Pass those around too. They're not yours. You have them later. Pass them around so people can see various versions of what these little new things. There's just a little sliver of a point. You also have on your table a ballpoint pen. Do they have ballpoint pens? There should be one at every slot. Notice what it says.
Tell us. What's it say?
Okay, that's not what John Lewis said. That's not what John Lewis said. And I ask some of you if you think ahead or want to or can bring your own quotes to the table and or to the event. And if you want to pass those around too, what I would like is whatever you write down for this event will stay on the table so I can pick it up later and then end up including it in whatever we end up doing with all the contributions that are made. So if you brought a quote, leave it on the table, please. Leave, anyway, don't take anything. The one thing that you can take is the list of those that passed. And we have an addition to that list, which I only became aware of over the weekend. And that's Richard Stillwell in Pacific Grove. He was 95 years old. He passed just a week ago. And he was a great contributor to PG in general. He was a philanthropist. He was a gung-ho advocate for buying Cal-Am. And I remember he was just one dynamic, consistent, persistent voice when we were all planning and doing and all this stuff that says, you talk about get rid of Cal-Am, get rid of Cal-Am, get rid of Cal-Am. He said, you gotta get rid of the PUC. You gotta get rid of the PUC. Anyway, it was a great addition because he kept insisting, it's a twofer we're after, not just Cal-Am. So I looked at it like it's a playwright, kind of. So I had Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Act 1 are those that preceded us in death. And how this got started is that I was bitching and moaning, and it just pissed me. Okay, I was mad. I was pissed off. Because two of my friends had died, and I didn't know they died. And I got pissed off that I had not maintained contact with them sufficient to just know about how much their health was in decline. I knew they were ill, but I didn't know how bad things were. And then when they passed, they didn't have a memorial service, and I didn't hear about it till months and months later. It just pissed me off that I didn't know that. And that's on me. Because I was the one that was healthier. I could have reached out. I could have gone visit. I could have made a contact. I didn't. I was pissed off. Talking to my friend. I said, why does it have to be this way? Why does it have to be this way? We don't hear about it. We know we relied on it. We know them for years. And suddenly they're gone, and they're gone, and you don't even, and whether they have a memorial service or not, it doesn't matter. You missed it. You missed it, even a chance to say something good about it. So my friend said, so what are you going to do about it? so that's how it got started. I just started thinking, well, how do you recognize somebody that's already gone? They've already had a memorial service, whatever their family did. And then I was at a recent memorial service, and the family didn't know the person's wider connection in the community. This was a volunteer in the Public Water Down group. And so we were a little talking about it afterwards about how come the family didn't know what this guy was up to? How come they didn't know? They talked about family stories and kid stories and grandkid stories and trips they took and family connection, all that stuff. What happened to where he was in the community? What he did in the community? What he contributed to the community? None of that. So I was thinking, okay, take a chance and see what I might be able to do. So, what I would like you to do is, if you feel that I have left somebody off this name, off this list, I would like you to offer the name.
Susie Godfrey.
Loretta Fisher.
John Walton.
Susie Morris.
Jackie Griffin.
Jackie Green. Great.
Laura Abahider.
Yes. Okay, here.
Bart Evans. Bart Evans.
Art Evans, I don't know that name, but anyway.
She was a powerhouse on the planning commission for years. She protected the Toro area.
Okay. Barbara Evans?
Bart.
M-A-R-I-T.
Here. Zan Henson, he should be on.
Winston Elsko and Glenn Showers.
Let's go on. What I would like to do with this is, first of all, acknowledge John Lewis, because I'm stealing from him on Good Trouble. And I just want to read. And this is on some of your tables, but he was the lightning for this event as far as I'm concerned, and then we and all over the country are the thunder of his quote. So the quote is, never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble. Necessary trouble. So the story on the pins, it says, do good trouble. And I had a big discussion with myself about that, because I wanted to say, and you'll see later, it's in the triangle format, I am good trouble. That's what I started with. Fit the triangle perfectly. I am good trouble. But I thought, no, I don't want it to be individually related to the message. I didn't want my message to you to be a certain thing, just to be it. I am good trouble, that's what I started with. Then it was be good trouble. That fit too. But I wasn't asking you to do any particular thing. So I didn't want it to still be personal. I wanted it to be out there. I wanted it to be out there. So I settled on do good trouble. And that's the action I was looking for. So that's what the pin says, do good trouble. So I'm stealing a lot from him, and I know I'm taking advantage of his quote, but he made a big distinction between what is participation and support compared to active efforts. So you can participate by voting or writing a check. I'm not saying any of this is bad, but I'm just saying, how do you connect with another person? You can sit in your home and be very supportive and make phone calls and so on. I'm not criticizing any of it. All I'm suggesting is there's a one-to-one connection, or you and the community. That's the connection that I want to support, and that's what I want to support. When I look around the room, I just think you've all been doing this anyway, and I'm not trying to start you in a different direction. But I am asking you to consider doing a little bit more. It's not a fundraiser. That's not the more I'm talking about. So I want to just get some input on what your own experience with. Some, not all, but some. And I'm going.
So, my name is Melody Krislock, and Zan Henson was public water and animals volunteer attorney for many years. And the story that I will always remember is about a year and a half ago, he argued our case, all of our case, at the CPUC for at the CPUC to make this decision about a correct water supply and demand estimate that would either justify or nullify the desal plan. And he was arguing this, it was all online, so I sat there this whole week watching. He was arguing this, and he was arguing against Tim O'Halloran, questioning him as a witness. And he kept saying, so wait a minute, are you telling me that, how can you justify, counting the people, the houses, and the land? Explain that to us. And O'Halloran would say, that's just the way our urban water management plan is written. That's the way it is. And Zan would come back and go, no, explain this to me. And he got pretty, and finally, Cameron's attorney goes, argumentative, don't, and Zan stopped and he goes, all right, I'm sorry, I will try to rephrase my question without my incredulous attitude. So thank you, Zan, for all the work you did for Public Water Now over the years.
Okay.
I'd just like to remember Susie Gabri because she was my mentor on collecting signatures. I was really not that clever at it, and she was. She collected thousands of signatures. And what she did that was so clever, she was very soft-spoken. And so she would accost somebody maybe in front of Trader Joe's and say that whatever she said was very low. And they would lean in to hear more. And before you know it, they're signing. Susie was just a lovely lady, and she was from Iran. She came here and just made wonderful things happen. So I just want to remember her.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. I'm pretty loud, right? I'm feeling just super emotional being in this room with all of you. You guys are all my heroes. And there's one that isn't here with us anymore, Juan Martinez. He was a badass, so I have to say that. There was a young Yaneli, me, trying to run for office back in like 2016, thinking that I'm gonna conquer the world, and I get Juan Martinez in my face telling me, we're gonna get you elected, but you better not be a sellout, because I'll remember you and I'm gonna go after you, Yaneli. Me estás escuchando? And so every time there was a decision that would come to the council, or even during my worst times in the council, I would always hear Juan in the back of my mind like, suck it up, continue, y no te rajes, you have to continue there, and don't be a sellout. So here I am, Juan, I'm not a sellout. For those that don't know me, Yaneli Martinez.
Another badass and comrade, Gary Carnes. The quotation on our table from Howard Zinn reminds me of Gary being inspired to collect the local interviews for the People's Oral History Project because of Zinn's work. Juan Martinez was involved. I was fortunate to be a part of that. And I would like everyone, rather than to tell a story about Gary, he was a humble guy, powerful man, and a humble man. I would like everyone to just take a minute
Hold it, I'll do that.
and think of him for the 10 seconds I might say something else about him, because there aren't enough words to capture what a fantastic human being he was.
Thank you for that.
My name is Karen Araujo, and it is Salinas.
Hi, my name's Bob Evans. There are many people on this list that are good troublemakers. Two that come to the top of my mind right off the bat are my former spouse, Barbara Evans, and her mentor, Hebert Olson. They created a lot of good trouble at the Monterey City Council by, first of all, Hebert helped Barbara figure out how to videotape council meetings. The city council actually had all the equipment already mounted in the council chambers, but he didn't want to use it because he didn't want to go public. So Barbara set up her camera and videotaped the council ongoings, and then we edited those council activities, and she posed questions and answered the questions, and they were run on AMP, which Hebert was a pioneer at AMP. And as a result, the city council finally decided, well, maybe instead of letting Barbara do little bits and pieces with her opinions, we should just turn on the cameras and do the whole thing.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. What I just want to comment on is things like this, you do something new, hasn't been done before, you're facing kind of a, generally for local issues, a powerful kind of decision-making body and so on, and you're challenging that body to do something. Well, that's what a lot of us do, and I just think that's a nice little story and so on. Over here, Michael.
A lot of times they say bring the receipts. I brought the receipts. There's a picture of Gary Carnes and Larry on the cover with George and Alvin. We won Measure J that day. And it's not on. Just here. Pick it right here. Okay, Measure J. So Gary and Larry are on the cover. So George, I wanted to offer this to you. You probably have a copy, but
I may have it somewhere.
I found this. I just moved, so I was thinking.
Well, this is,
But
okay, quickly.
I have two people that I want to remember, which is David Beach and Chuck Chet. And David Beach was a brilliant scientist, worked up at Stanford. And Chuck Chet was a wonderful engineer, also very bright and gifted. And I was a high school math and science teacher. But the three of us got together and really went after Cal-Am on their science, on what's happening with the groundwater. I learned so much from those guys, and they treated me as an equal, and I just never forget those two guys and the work we did together on Measure J during the EIR process of 2018.
Thank you, Michael.
My name is Juan Sanchez of Backyards, and I wanna honor Dred McCall. Those who knew him, he documented pretty much every activity on in the peninsula with his partner in arms right there. Yeah, Mr. White, and he was. When we first started, when we just an idea, he was there every single time, quietly but with amazing presence. Of course, Jan Black. When I first moved to the peninsula 34 years ago, I didn't know I was gonna find like the most incredible troublemaker that knew every head of state, and then and she has transformed the peninsula. And Carmen Mexicano, who we just laid to rest a few weeks ago, 41 years old, who was a board member with Palenque Arts, Oaxaqueña, an artist that her form of activism was creating space for Cultura Oaxaqueña and for our little organization to exist. And she literally gave her life. 5 years battling cancer, she could have given up. And I went on.
I'm going to have to pull the shutter.
I'm Janet Brennan. I want to remember Ed Lieber for his creative troublemaking. I think he was the most creative troublemaker on the peninsula. That his mobile library truck and library, plus he was the instigator behind a lot of important litigation for the peninsula.
I'm gonna cut this short. I'm not introducing elected officials. I just want you to know that. That's what's unusual. One of the unusual things about this meeting. But I see one back here.
Hi, I'm Nibs McCarthy, and I just want to mention Darby Worth. Darby was my mentor, and I made a conscious decision when I turned some special number of age that I wanted to become an activist because they were the people I admired most. And Darby just took me by the hand and introduced me to everyone, but the person she said I most needed to meet was George Wiley.
I don't need to take a lot of time because I wanted to just make sure that Darby Worth's name was mentioned for the creativity that Mibs just mentioned and the work that she did, as well as I'm just going to mention Michael Stamp and Larry Parrish who I knew growing up as a child, both of them in Carmel Valley, and the work they did. We have big, big, big shoes to fill, and we need to keep marching along in those big footprints.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
I'm going to go way back in time and remember Nancy McClintock. She was a feminist, a peacemaker, and she and I did a lot of Take Back the Night rallies and marches together against the right to life people that were trying to take away women's reproductive rights here back in the 80s and 90s. She was a wonderful person. She started the Clothesline Project for women who'd been abused to be able to express what happened to them. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time of women's energy. And I'm very sad to see what's happened today with all of this, but I want to remember all her efforts that she made to make women have a good place in the world. Thank you.
And I have two very quick ones to wrap this up. One is Darby Worth. When I first met her, actually she kind of stopped me in the middle of the street because I was crossing the street at Christopher's, remember Christopher's coffee shop. And so in the middle of the street she said, "What are you doing to help the world?" That's what she started with. But that hooked me because I was not doing much. But anyway, that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to remember is Gordon Smith. Again, we were protesting somewhere in the intersection of Christopher's restaurant. You know, it's what is it? The East Village. East Village Cut Shop. No. So we're yelling at some people, and I think we were doing. I can't remember the issue now. No, it was election integrity. So we were talking about paper ballots versus electronic machines. And so we were yelling something or whatever it was, and he said, and so he's standing right next to me, and some guy yelled back something, derogatory. And he said, "Read a book." I thought, perfect. Okay, so, in honor of those who have passed before, and all those that have been mentioned here, I want to take a silent 1.5 minutes. Silent 1.5 minutes. You can go wherever you want to, but I'm going to time everything, starting now. Okay, that was 1.5 minutes. If you ever think you're limited to 3 minutes at a board meeting, if you ever think you're going to be limited by 3 minutes at a board meeting, look how long 1.5 minutes is. It just is really a long time when you're not doing anything. And once you start doing something, time flies. Anyway, I want a round of applause for those who preceded us. So Act 2, I want to recognize a group that are oldies or elders or experienced.
Seasoned.
Trying to find seasoned, yes. Slowing down, whatever. But anyway, that group, what I want to do is start with just a few thoughts. A number of people who were invited to come here could not. And they let me know, a lot of them, why? It was a health issue. So we're a population, I'm in the group we're talking about, but You know, there's going to be fewer and fewer of us in that age group. So what I wanted, and I don't want to make a big deal about some of the details, but when I'm looking at volunteers, I'm looking at volunteers who do active things to promote the community good. That's my kind of version, but a lot of it's political, a lot of it's policy, a lot of it's what public agencies can do and should do, but there are volunteers everywhere, which are not invited to this. I didn't reach out to people who are dog lovers and cat lovers. I just didn't reach out. Churches, schools, libraries, feed the hungry, parks, kids in need or in therapy or in sports, entertainment. I didn't reach out to any of those volunteers. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. But this is a special group because you don't sit down very long before you're not up doing something else. And I just appreciate that so much. And that's kind of why I want. And many of the volunteers who I know are here also volunteer in other areas. So it's not like it's a one kind of category, one kind of definition. It's not. I mean, you're all over the map, just like volunteers are everywhere. But we have a unique opportunity here, I think, and a unique option. So what I wanted to be active locally, and to know a lot of the people, a lot you don't know that are sitting probably at your own table. But I think I've worked with just about everybody in this room. And I would recognize you in the dark. I might not remember your name, but I know we've crossed paths many times, and you're the people that I love, and you do the work that I love. And so that's how you got on my list. So, Act 2. Somebody at each table has an asterisk to say, you are in charge of this blue bag. Okay, open the bag. If there's no bag or nobody designated, just point to somebody and say you're in charge. Okay. Open the bag. Pass the whatever's in there. Pass them around. What that person has is the right to take the thing that's in the bag. So it's yours. You don't want it, pass it to somebody else. But what's in there is a package of other things which should be passed around. And when I talked about the triangle, these are metal triangles to say, be good, trouble. So that's the theme, of course, you know that. That's the theme. And there should be enough for everybody to have one, and maybe somebody can get two. I don't remember. We have an enormous history in this county for being the center point of a lot of things that are pretty substantial and pretty significant. Not only just for the community, but for the larger community beyond our county boundaries. And I just want to run over just a very, very quick list. It's just what occurred to me. And I'm kind of doing a lot of this from memory and a lot of just what I kind of, well, I remember. Well, you don't remember, I don't have to do that. In 1966, there was an effort to keep Standard Oil, which was called Humble at the time, from putting in a huge refinery at Moss Landing. That did not happen because of local effort. Cesar Chavez was in this area for over many times. He was in the Central Valley and he was in Seaside. And he's got an enormous reputation and enormous successfulness. And we responded in our county too, because the great boycotts, the lettuce boycotts, really meant something and they had impact. The Monterey Bay Marine Sanctuary. There are sanctuaries all over this country, Great Lakes, Gulf Coast, East Coast, West Coast. But this is the largest one of all of them. And this was done in 1962. And I know that was largely a congressional effort, but there was a lot of people that supported that and pushed in the background and kept people honest about moving it ahead. There was an attempt to buy Cal-Am in 2005 that failed, and failure doesn't stop us. All I'm saying is the effort is important, but when you make an effort and lose, you've actually set some groundwork, some framework for the next effort. And that's happened a lot about water. Measure W, which is the first attempt to buy Cal-Am. That went nowhere. Sand mine. A lot of you remember the sand mine. A lot of you have met at that. I wasn't as active as some of you, but I got in on the tail end and got supported and loved all the people and all the things that we're saying and so on. But that was a big issue, and that succeeded, of course. Monterey Downs. Many of you have been down Monterey Downs. Down the tubes. 867. Measure G, an enormous successful effort at a ballot measure. Enormously successful, because you're going up against big oil. And it's still kind of in play, because there are things that are still happening around that. And of course, the big companies sue like hell, and that's the water story we have with Cal-Am. But it's deep, they're deep pockets. But it passed. And it was an anti-fracking effort. The community speaks, and the community can win, and the community can do little things, and it can do big things. And both are very important. Measure O, we're very pleased with Measure O, because that picked up from the prior loss, and this one lost by less. It's still lost. But we're still building a foundation. And then Measure J passed in 2018. And I don't necessarily want to get personal, but there was an effort made to recall Mary Ann Leffel and so on. Well, that's a unique effort, and that's a tough one, that's a tough one. But the effort was made, it didn't happen, but people were speaking their mind. And people speaking, preferences or truth to power, that kind of thing. So there are a lot of volunteer activities that are going on, and I just want to run through a bunch of them. But locally, and I'll get to the national just shortly in a minute. So the big deals around here, if you volunteer for the aquarium or Point Lobos or during Car Week, AT&T Golf, it's a big deal. There's a whole lot of people volunteer to make those things happen. Like them or not, it's still a big deal locally. A better deal, better than those, are places like ACLU and ACP, LULAC, League of Women Voters. I call them Palinky Arts because they bring a lot of fun to the activity. And we need that too, so have fun, be an activist, speak your mind, but also feel good about it, good enough to laugh about it too when you didn't say it right, or it didn't happen the way you wanted to. But have fun. Ollie, I just love Ollie, just because it keeps, issues alive, and you just meet new people there. And many of us meet new people. So they're big deals, and they're better deals. The best deals for the community, I think, are the small ones that are normally forgotten. That's largely the motivation for this group. Land Watch will have their big, recognition issue. The aquarium will. All of those that have some substantial size will recognize their own people. Nobody recognizes, except the smaller groups, and they'll have their own group too. And they'll have a couple of pizzas, and they'll have little things, and there'll be 9 people, or 12 people, or 18 people, and so on. But they're not big enough you can fill the room with those kind of programs. But if you put them all together, look what you got. Look what you got. And people know people from across issues and other dynamics. I'm just going to run through the list that I just think are just terrific for our local community. Sustainable Communities in Monterey County. Peace and Justice Center. WILF. Veterans for Peace. These are smaller size things, but they're combined here in my view of volunteers. Progressive Dems of America. Progressive Dems of PG. Monterey County New Progressives. These are small, these are new. Monterey Pride. White Racial Equality. Peace Coalition. Public Water Now. Veterans Alliance. I just go over those. But the best deal of all of these, and I'm going uphill, each one is better than the next one. Elections. There's no organized way to recognize volunteers. Candidates will recognize volunteers. Issue people will recognize volunteers. But there's no organized way to do that. They're narrow, and they're largely focused on, a city or a particular race and so on. They get recognized, they do, and that's good. But it's the biggest thing that goes on in this county that depends on volunteers to make it work. And you guys who are all involved in that and encourage that and so on, I just think it's great. And so I just wanted to kind of keep your mind open to the many opportunities. Now, The rest of Act 2 is, I want to get some interaction. The age break after those who died were born sometime, and now they're at, older ages. So I want to identify this group as the war years, the war, not warrior, war years. So those of you who were born after 1860, because there was a war then, and born before or by 1945. Those are war years. Civil War, of course. First World War, Second World War. So who was born in that generation? So I'll raise my hand. So what I'd like to do is to do a little mic business again and get some interaction, get some reaction from the people who have fought the wars, are starting to slow down. Some of you are not slowing down, I know that. But some have. And I've got a number of people who called and said, I can't make it, I'm sorry, because of this or that or the other. And they were health reasons. So there are 10 or 11 on that page that would have been here otherwise. And I just want to say that, some are really near the end, and I just want to point out Helen Rucker is one of my favorites. She was everywhere. I met her very early after I got here, jumped on her campaign, became friends, and I've loved her ever since.
Joyce Vanderveer was an incredible activist, and I had the privilege of driving her back and forth to the Peace Center for all of our things after she stopped driving. And I got to know her very, very well. And when she died, I realized, on the day that she died, I was just weeping and I was alone. And I said, Joyce, you just got to keep showing up for me. You got to keep me keeping on. Because I know I'm going to flag and I need you as... And she said, okay. She said, okay. I saw her face, I heard her voice. She said, okay, I'll do it. And now, whenever I need a boost, I said, Joyce. And she's right there. I just wanted you to know she's there.
Good. They have influence.
Well, I want to just go back to Darby because I didn't get to say that we need to abolish corporate personhood. And, as she said on her answering machine, let's all wage peace. Also, I think I got from Darby an optimism. I am optimistic. I believe in our system, I believe in our courts, and I believe in our elections. So I'm looking to the future without fear.
And thank you.
I am Sylvia Shi, and I have a great expectation for the future. The world is changing. We have gone from the industrial age. Right now we are in the AI age. Who's to know what is going to happen? So I will embrace the future and do whatever I can, but still enjoy my life. That is the first priority.
Thank you.
I'm Sharon Miller, and my generation has seen a lot. We've seen a great unfolding of civil rights, women's rights, nuclear arm agreements, and we find that we take 2 steps forward and maybe there's 1 step back. But because we want to make this a better place for other human beings, for maybe children and grandchildren, and in my case, it's going to be 4 great-grandchildren, we just keep on going and we keep a smile on our face as George does.
Thank you.
I think the most critical thing at this point, in my experience, is we've got to get the younger generation involved and enthused. Without that, I'm not sure where we're going, but I think if we can get them involved, and those young people that so far I've been working with are really energetic, and they really want to go in what I consider to be the right direction. But it's critical that we get more of them. One or two won't do it. We got to have hundreds.
Yeah, good point, good point. Any more hands in this age group?
Well, when I was born, the country was losing World War II. That didn't happen. We came back. I had nothing to do with it. But from then on, I think I grew up realizing that you had to speak out for what was good for everyone. And I had a sense of fairness and fair play. And so you don't always win, but you keep trying. And so we did find that a lot of good things happened, especially in the 60s when we were all really making a lot of good trouble. And I remember the passage of the Voting Rights Act, the excitement of civil rights, and actually seeing John Lewis from a distance in Mississippi. And all of that, could get set back, but as long as we keep trying, I think we'll be successful. And so thank you to everyone in this room for all the good that we're doing together.
Thank you.
My name is Ruthie Watts, and I'm on the board of the Salvation Army, and I want to say that we feed the homeless every day, and you'd be surprised who comes to the Salvation Army to get food. They're not necessarily homeless, but they just don't have money to buy food. So we ask that you do support the Salvation Army and support our youth in our community. Please do.
Kay Klein, and I just feel very fortunate to have become of age when we had Vista and the Peace Corps and people reaching out, and it was so important. Diversity, I think, is our real strength. We know it well here. I'm fearful for the other parts of the country where there's not the diversity and people don't have that richness to rely on. I think that getting youth involved and getting people across the spectrum, Palenque Arts, thank you so much for all that you do. And for the future, I want to do a call out for Jasmine Crockett.
Yay!
She is really doing great work, and I think that we've got hope.
Thank you. So Act 3, now we're moving into the boomers. Okay, 45, 65, that's what we're looking for now, right? Okay. So raise your hand if you were a boomer.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Does the boomer generation have anything they would like to contribute?
Obviously. We just did.
And so we're going to...
Hello, I'm Royal Calkins. I used to be a journalist around here. I appreciate everything all these people have done. There's something else you need to do next, and that is there's a hugely important political battle brewing in Salinas over rent control.
Yeah.
There was rent control, there still is now. But the money and people at Dennis Donahue and his cronies and ag businesses have taken it away. There's going to be a vote probably in about a year, and they need your help. They need the help of the Peninsula people. They got a lot of volunteers there, but they're going to need is money. They're going to need your money. There are people in this room who contributed already. George has. I think Margie Kay has. I think Chris Fitz maybe. Mike DeLappa. There are a few people on the Peninsula. But this lettuce curtain divide is just a terrible thing, and they really need you. You've got people in Salinas. There are people who can't go home during the day because they only rent the couch at night, or they rent the balcony or the garage. And there's going to be a tremendous battle of publicity, advertising, and as you know, money almost always wins. So they need your help. And I have I write now for Voices of Monterey Bay, and I have a really great article about this thing coming out in about 2 days. So read it, Voices of Monterey Bay. Claudia Melendez, Julie Reynolds, and I are kind of the mainstays. Voices of Monterey Bay, online, we can't deliver.
Yes, I'm Esther Malkin, and I want to thank Royal for mentioning what's happening in Salinas. I've been working on renter issues, Monterey County Renters United. And yeah, he mentioned Salinas, but this is actually something that every single jurisdiction has to watch because, you know, they've taken advantage now of this whole immigration issue that all of us have to be concerned about. They're working on intimidation tactics, and this can happen anywhere in our county, in our state. So renters are a huge, you know, part of our community and are the ones that are really just ignored. We all have to make sure that the renter vote gets out to vote. We all have to make sure that they feel heard so that we can take over a lot of these city councils that are not listening to their renter population. So I just want to bring it up because, you know, we're coming up on a really scary time and we need every vote that we can get. And the Democratic Party is not paying attention to the renter vote. So it's up to us in our individual jurisdictions to make it a point to bring that vote out, to get what we all need to happen for us to live in a sane country again.
Thank you, Esther.
Hi, my name is Laura Solorio from Salinas, originally from Hollister. And I just want to say that for me, the biggest impact on my life, and I think maybe many people here as well, in 1976, when I was graduating from college, a group from the United Farm Workers came to speak to whatever students they wanted to listen to them. And they said, you know, we need volunteers, and so after I graduated, I headed to Calexico and then Coachella to work in the UFW clinics. And I think working for the UFW, like many of my friends and some people here, and for Mexicanos and everyone in general, I mean, I think Cesar, Dolores Huerta, you know, all of the organizers, they just taught us that anything was possible. You know, you just organizing like you cannot believe. I worked in the clinic in Calexico. If there was an election in the asparagus, we were up like at 4 in the morning leafleting at the border. It didn't matter that we worked in the clinic. You were out there. So I just have to say for so many people, the UFW was really an instigator and I think produced a lot of organizers in this country. So, thank you.
Hi, my name's Elena Loomis, and I've been protesting since I was about 9 and a half. But I want to talk about some newer ones. Even though we're older, a lot of us I know have been at all the protests. So I just want to acknowledge the organizations that are behind that and in front of that. And that's 5051 Monterey Bay and Indivisible Monterey County and Indivisible Salinas. And a new group that a few of us organized called Unite Monterey County. So I hope to see you at whatever the next protest is. And then I wanted to mention a couple organizations that are doing fantastic work, including Solidarity Network, which is helping to protect our immigrant neighbors, and an organization that I've belonged to for many years, the National Coalition Building Institute. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Tom Moore, Marina Coast Water District. I just want to recommend to everyone going forward, although it's been said that money drives a lot of the policy that occurs here in the United States, which is true, but more recently, thanks to our neighbors up in San Jose and Silicon Valley, you have access to information, and other people have taken advantage of access to information. One thing you can do is to help yourself, if you haven't already done so, but more importantly, the folks you work with, to understand that Facebook and Instagram and all these other social media contain very smart algorithms to drive your behavior and to drive your thinking. We used to call it in the Korean War era brainwashing. And there have been a whole lot of Americans brainwashed. It's hard to just counter them with information, but if you can get them at least to look across multiple sources of information, so that possibly they can really hone in on what, in fact, is reality, and not what the administration says, well, reality is what we tell you it is.
Thank you, John. John?
Hi, I'm Archie Kay. I'm from North Monterey County, the Elkhorn Slough. Do a lot of work up there. One thing I just wanted to ask, if you're a daughter or son of an immigrant, raise your hand. So I think that, many of us have this in common.
Granddaughter?
Yeah, if you're...
We all immigrants.
Yeah. My father came in 1938 from Berlin.
Hi, my name is Demetrio. I just want to remind people here that the people power is stronger than the people in power. I also want to remind you that it's never the wrong time to do the right thing.
So my name is Chris Ferreira. I'm the president of LULAC and Salinas Council 2055. And thank you, George, for putting this together. It's a long time coming. And thank you, Royal, for speaking up about the Salinas rental stabilization issue. We're going through a lot in Salinas right now. Well, Salinas reminds me of what's going on here at national politics. And the same thing is going on in Salinas with our mayor and with the fantastic 5 people that were just elected. That's a joke. Right now, they're going after our good friend Andrew Sandoval right here. Last Tuesday, how they attacked him, it's horrendous what they did. It was an orchestrated attack, and we need every single one of you to get involved. Give us your money, because next year it's going to be a busy year. 4 seats are up. Rental stabilization issue is going to be on the table, and hopefully there will be some recalls. So I plead with you to please get involved. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bruce Delgado, and I just want to say that in some way we're all haves. There's haves and have-nots, and everyone in this room in some way is privileged. And I think one of those ways that we're privileged is to have had an adult life with the likes of all of us here. That our lives have crossed paths with a lot of people in this room. The people on this list are full of wonder, and the people in this room are full of wonder. And I think we're just lucky to be here and have the life that we've had. Thank you.
My name's Beverly Bean. I just wanted to give a shout out to the anti-pesticide work that's been going on for over 50 years. Gavin Martinez, Carol Erickson, Safe Schools, Safe Strawberries. This group goes back a long ways, still fighting, still uphill. So a really important issue, more pesticide on crops in Monterey County than any county in California, more exposure of people near these fields, an issue that really needs to be taken seriously.
Thank you. Those that are after the boomers, I think, are the leaders of the future. And I'm going to go from that era after the boomers to yesterday. If you were born yesterday, good. We can train you. But so let's see a hand of those that were born after the boomer generation and are still working at what we all respect. All right, so what I'd like to do is offer up some comments. You offer up some comments about what you think about what you see as the future, what you think is the priority, what is the priority to you, not necessarily to the community, but whatever your personal opinion might be about what we're facing and where we're headed or where we want to be headed. And so, he's an all-star, by the way.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Alan Sadwell. When I saw this was a volunteer appreciation, I'm like, you know what? This really should be a George Riley appreciation. Yeah. being here. So thank you so much, George, for all your time and passion, and he walked for me, and he walked for many of these issues here. So I heard, I know you guys say what's next, the boomers are next, but what I see in these protests in Salinas, which by the way warms my heart to see so many of the boomer generation there, because that's what we need. I mean, just in this room alone, if you all came to Salinas and walked just for 2 days, I mean, what an impact that would make in our community. We're facing a series of issues around rental protections and even the ability for the public to be able to comment, but I just want to say that we do need you. We need you in our communities, and we need your advice and your guidance and more people like George. There's a lot of energy here. Of course, money helps, but really the people power, like Demetrio said, it's real, and we see it in Salinas. So what's next is that we need more support from folks to come down to Salinas, because what's happening in Salinas is really going to affect us at the state level. And so there's probably going to be much more money poured into this next election than there was the last one. So thank you very much, George, and please continue to protest in Salinas and continue to support candidates and these issues we're facing. So thank you.
Well, think globally, act locally. Thinking globally is depressing, but acting globally is where we can all really make a difference, and that's what all of us are doing. For me, the major issue ahead of us is climate change, and we all have to be looking at ways to reduce our contribution to greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you.
George, this is absolutely wonderful. Like, what a blessing to spend a morning with like this group of people. Like, sometimes I just get really emotional, and like, thank you for being you and bringing us together today, but like for the last, I don't know how long you've been doing this, and I was trying to remember when I first got to meet you and start working with you, but I've learned what I know because of the opportunity to work with all of you for the past 20 years. And you know, we're sitting over here, and I think one of the lessons here was, I think it went to Kate, like, we need more like young people, but I think part of it is like, it took me a long time to watch all of you do what you do really well before I realized like, oh, that's how you do it. Like, that's how you get involved. That's how you like do this work. So lessons learned and like where we're going. Hearing the optimism from the first group that spoke, it's like really, really helpful. I don't feel that way all the time, but I'm hopeful. And it's that hope that keeps, I think, me engaged. So I just want to say thank you, George, for giving me the space and the time and the encouragement to continue on the path that I'm on. And to all of you who've been doing the work, thank you for breaking some of those barriers and paving a path so that I could find my own path in this space. I'm going to keep doing that and bring as many people along with me as I can, because you showed me how to do it. So thank you all.
Could you introduce yourself? Introduce yourself.
I'm Wendy Root-Askew, and I get to serve many of you as your District 4 County Supervisor representing Seaside, Marina, South Salinas. And the issues that everyone has spoken about, they're big, they're affecting us locally, but they're affecting, I mean, the challenges are so tremendous. We've got the rental issues, we've got housing insecurity, the SNAP benefits right now, it's 50,000 Monterey County residents with $10 million a month in benefits that are on hold. So big challenges, and we're going to figure out, I guess, we're going to hope to navigate forward. But thank you, George.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Susie Worcester, and I'm appreciating standing on the shoulders of all these great people. And that's amazing. And we always have stood on the shoulders of so many people, and we always need to be appreciative. And I so thank you for this and being here with all of you. I want to share, you mentioned the biggest thing. I'm so glad you brought climate change. We think about this as this faraway thing. We have just reached a tipping point. If you haven't heard of tipping points, you should look these up. Because as this happens, more and more things are going to be more people at the Salvation Army, more people homeless, more people destitute. And it's a justice issue. So we need to think about that as a front and center, along with all this other stuff, so that we can have a livable future. And I just want to say, the other thing, let's see, I had 3 things I was going to do. Okay, I'll go to the 4th, because that's all I can go. Is that one other pseudo group started that a couple of us have is MC Million Rising. We're taking advantage of Indivisible and have a local group who's trying to cut down the pillars of our current administration. We meet first Fridays at 6 p.m. to 7:30 at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Carmel, at the top of the hill. And you're welcome to join us if you want to be part of trying to figure out how are we going to change directions in our country. So just that. It's mcmillionrising@gmail.com.
Okay, I'm going to step in. My name's John Riley. Obviously that means something. I want to just, from after listening to everybody here and seeing Dad's wider network, it kind of opened my eyes to, if this is a small piece, there's an enormous piece out there that's working towards good for everybody, right? So selfish work, which is enormously helpful. I want to echo one thing the gentleman in the far corner said. Without getting younger people involved, we're running into a cul-de-sac, and that's never good. So with thinking about that and relating it to my life and George's grandkids, my and my wife's daughters, there's an enormous amount of understanding and energy in that age group. And from hearing from them, they're concerned. But the one thing I see from them is no way to organize and harness that energy. And so I would say to everyone here, try to carve out a little time to reach out to the whatever they are, the X's, I lose track at some point, but you know who I'm talking about, the under 30 crowd. If you want to keep this going, carve out, find time, reach out, write a letter, get on Facebook, however you contact the younger people in your lives, and plead with them because they're aimless and don't know how to do things, I guess. They know how to do things you guys don't. Reach out to them, plead with them to carry on whatever you're doing. They'll listen to their elders. I've seen that. And so do whatever you can to reach out and get the younger generation working on it. Thank you very much.
Wes White, Salinas Monterey County Home Machine Co-President. Thank you. I just wanted to kind of piggyback a little bit off this justice thing and the rent stabilization. Duplicate that in every jurisdiction, because if common sense was more common, they wouldn't have an issue. Also consider, like you were saying about Salvation Army, more people ending up homeless. We have to do it different. We have to establish communities. Communities are established where they're at. And if we were to support them more, you know you'd end up with more voters if they had an address, right? That's really the leverage you need to be doing is walking the talk. The more, because I've got folks that are getting knocked out in freedom that they called the California's Poor People Campaign for, and so now I'm going to try to help mitigate that. But I mean, this, if you hear what folks say, it's like, you know, she said, we've been told by local police that we must vacate within 2 days or risk having our belongings destroyed. We're terrified and unsure where to turn. The situation also involves HPHP, which is in Santa Cruz, who affiliates not only failed to support us, but have actively undermined our safety and dignity. They've encouraged unsafe practices, scapegoated us, and misused public funds, despite receiving millions in funding this year. We're experiencing systemic abuse, gaslighting, and criminalization simply for trying to survive. We urgently need advocacy, legal support, and public visibility. I've been trying to reach our attorney, Anthony Princh, but haven't been able to. And you know, she's even got a blog. So these are not mindless drug addicts, whatever you think the stereotype is of people homeless. They're just too poor to afford rent, and they need support. They need to be able to keep their personal possessions. So help stop sweeps. Thank you.
Daniels, and I just, one quick observation is that my generation and everybody younger than me needs to fill these rooms and needs to take a seat at these tables and do this work. And then what Demetrio said about people having the power. We have so much power. And somebody mentioned Facebook and social media and Instagram and Twitter and whatever other, we give up all our power by giving in to those entities, and we need to stop. We need to stop giving over all of our information to these billionaires and the evil that they're doing with that information. We need to stop. We need to stop spending money at places like Amazon. We need to stop shopping at Whole Foods. We need to stop drinking the petroleum-based single-use plastic bottles that we continue to buy in grocery stores. We have so much power. And then I'll wrap this up, George, by saying it's the same power we have in our democracy, and we will lose it if we stop showing up and stop fighting and stop protesting. And that's what I've learned from all these people in this room who've been doing this since I remember going to the local Safeway and signing the No Nukes petitions, right? You've been doing this for so long. And because of that activism, we've retained rights and we've retained power that if we stop showing up under this administration, we will lose it faster than we can blink. So keep going. Thank you, George, for recognizing all these volunteers and the work that's truly today saving our democracy.
Thank you.
So I'm here with the trouble pin. Les quiero decir una cosa, aquí en el condado de Monterrey hay muchas más personas que hablan español que no hablan español. ¿Okay? Es lo primero que quiero decir. Si no tenemos espacio para existir y que la gente se sienta un poco incómoda, entonces nos hemos perdido. What I said, there's a lot more Spanish speakers in Monterey County than there are no Spanish, non-Spanish speakers, right? So if this room and these gatherings, and I appreciate the space, but I'm here to bring trouble, good trouble. Younger, yes. More diverse, absolutely. We need to, I want to share an example. My dear friend JT Mason, who's right now assisting a family that just lost a daughter. And she's like, her Spanish is like, okay, maybe less than that. But she's always looking for opportunities to engage, to assist, to be, to bring in, and to listen. And we can all do more, a lot more than that, right? And I'm just telling you that it is hard to call out privilege because it's hard to look in the mirror and say, oh my gosh, I have so much responsibility. We all have immense responsibility, but if it's shared, it's doable, and we'll be enthused by it. Not just amused, and I'm calling you out on that. We are coming, this is belonging. This is how we belong to one another. We need one another. Without everyone at the table, we're doomed. So thank you for making this platform happen.
Thank you,
Hi, me again. I wanted to piggyback on what Wes brought up. He beat me to the punch. Homelessness is something that so many of us think we see, but a lot of us don't see it. I guarantee you that in the course of your week, you cross paths with people who are homeless that you don't even know are homeless. And we have in this state recently been given the distinction, along with the state of Louisiana, of having the highest poverty rate in this country. Us, the fourth largest economy in the world, has the highest poverty level with Louisiana in our country. That's embarrassing. Okay, we cannot continue to ignore the fact that we have so many people that are homeless and impoverished. And, within the homeless community, Wes touched on this, the old school thinking is that it's drug addicts and alcoholics and people that are mentally ill. That's not the majority of the homeless people anymore. The majority of the people who are homeless and becoming homeless are families, middle-aged women, seniors, The senior population in this country, recently, the numbers showed that it was the only category that increased in poverty. All the other levels, categories that they track stayed the same or got lower. But the senior population increased in their poverty level 15%. Those are the people that we don't know that they're actually homeless. We have people that are working 2 jobs, they're homeless. So, number one tool that we have, studies have shown that people who are becoming homeless because they can't afford their rents. So we have to make it a point to make rents affordable to control homelessness. So Salinas is going to be a real focus of the whole state. And we need to make sure that we prevent more homelessness, because if we don't, we're just adding water to a leaking bucket year after year after year. And talking about just building is not the only thing that we can do. We have to do something to take care of people while we are building, to keep our workers in the state, and to make sure that we're not adding to the homeless population.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you.
I'm Colleen Ingram, and thank you so much for this opportunity, and to everybody that's done the work that you have and helped me do the work that I've done. I wanted to circle back to the involving the youth. We have here in Juan and Janelli, Palenque Arts and protest and resistance. Bring it together, and the youth are all about that. And Safe Ag, Safe Schools, now they have their youth group, the Future Leaders of Change, and they're getting work done. There's more and more youth coming in when they see themselves there. So thank you for that work.
My name is Phil Butler, and I'm an interlocal. I'm not really in the young group, I'm just cheating a little bit. I'm actually born before World War II, and I'm kind of known in these parts as a former prisoner of war. And yes, I was, in fact, for 8 years. And those 8 years, in 5 of them, I was repeatedly tortured many times. We all were. And I want to tell you, that's what that kind of a government is good for. That's what that's like. And the reason I'm standing up here today is not to talk about that, but to tell you my experience when I came home in 1973 to a beautiful country and a beautiful government and freedom. And I had that for many years, and then to my surprise, look what we're facing today. And the storm clouds are on the horizon, guys. And I sit here in this room looking at us. We're the leaders, we're the leadership of this impending fight. In this fight, we are looking at a war, ladies and gentlemen. I'm convinced that we are. I think we will be. And it could be very, very bloody. In any case, we're going to be the leaders, and I know that I feel comfortable in this room saying that I know we're the ones that are willing to lead, and we're the ones that are willing to fight and give it all. And bless your hearts, bless our hearts. I know we're the ones, and I feel just beautiful, a beautiful day. And thank you, George, for bringing this group of us together. Thank you all.
Thank you, Phil. He's an icon in this community and wanted to be recognized. I want to come back.
My name is Tyler Williamson. And I happen to be the mayor of Monterey, but I'm here as an individual because of some of the comments that I'm about to share. So I just want to create that separation of the federal employee and keep the partisan politics out of it. But I want to raise it because I imagine that everybody in this room is registered as a Democrat. Just making that assumption may not be true, but I think the fair majority of folks at least are. And I think the most important thing for all of us is to remember like how awesome we are We are all human beings, we are all people, and that's the really tough nut to crack as it relates to all the things that I've heard about since I've been here, whether it's housing, whether it's climate change, whether it's homelessness, whatever it might be. It's not that these issues are impossible to solve, it's that we as human beings are complicated, and trying to figure these things out together is a challenge. And so I say that to say, we need to be more kind, not only to ourselves, but to one another, particularly people that think different than us. And it goes into a second point that I want to share, which is, I think part of the challenge with the Democratic framework network is that what brings us all together are different things, whether it be climate change, whether it be homelessness, whatever it might be. And so how do we really stand up and support each other when those issues are being raised? And I think one of the challenges that exists with folks doing that is entitlement and privilege. And it's really, really easy, and I'll just speak about it from my own perspective. I'm the mayor of Monterey. I am a homeowner. I don't have to worry about a lot of the things that a lot of people that may look like me have to worry about. And it's really easy to forget what that experience was like before I became a homeowner, before I became mayor. And so it's really important that we do that self-reflection and do something outside of our comfort zone. And I'm just going to give one example as it relates to this topic. Housing construction. A lot of people, and I guarantee that there's some folks in this room, I'm not intentionally trying to make you uncomfortable, but it's just part of the process. A lot of people don't want to see any additional growth on the Monterey Peninsula. I'm sorry, but people are struggling. They're hurting right now. And just because you don't want to see a big construction next to your single-family residential lot is not justification enough for us to not do the hard work to make sure that we're taking care of everybody in our community, which, mind you, that comes back to support you in the end, because we create a sense of community, which we're losing. I'm sure we all realize and recognize that. So anyways, I'm not going to go on and lecture, but I love you all. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to others. Thanks for being here today.
I'm Amy Anderson, and I've been here for 30 years, about. I wanted to comment on something that Phil Butler alluded to, and now I have to remember what that was. One thing about the youth, and I found this out from one of the things that I'm passionately involved in, which is classical music, and the audience looks, like us here, not the boomers. I mean the boomers, but not the younger people. The youth aren't being, because of the social media and everything, they don't read anymore. They don't know how to read. And I run into it all the time when I see examples. And it's like, if you can't read, you can't really think. But I think that they do come along. Like, they come along and they join chamber music. They come along, but they have to be old enough to understand what they're, if they want to get passionately involved in the kinds of efforts that we are all passionately involved in, they have to understand it. And I think that there's a lot of lack of understanding these days because they don't talk to each other, they don't talk to us. So we really have work to do communicating with, making friends with younger people, interacting with them. Because it's different. It's different than it was when I was a kid and I learned how to read and think and so forth. Anyway, that was the other point. I totally forgot what I was going to say, but that is one thing that I think, talking about youth. Oh, the other thing, independent media. Support independent media. Yeah. Support writers. Support PBS and every place that we can get that. Free speech. free speech, very, very important.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Gabe Sanders. Raise your hand if you are 30 or in your 30s in this room. Some of you might feel 30, might even look 30-something, good for you. However, everyone in this room needs to understand that people my age, born 1990, maybe a little bit before that, and then a lot of nobody's in their 20s in this room, don't tell us what we want.
Talk in the mic, please.
Don't assume you know what we want or need. Ask us.
Right.
Ask younger people.
Right.
Don't assume we can't, with all due respect. My friends read. We do know, as well as any of you, based on our lived experiences, what matters. And I can't even speak for the people younger than myself who could not even dream of renting in Monterey. My God, your grandchildren, what are they going to do? We don't know what it's going to look like. The political spectrum isn't just Democrats and Republicans anymore. I don't care what you're registered as. I care what your values are. And if I'm going to run for office someday, which maybe I will, I'm a trustee for Area 6 in MPUSD right now. I don't know how the hell that happened.
Hard work.
I've supported some candidates in this room in one way or another. I've supported candidates in other races across the country. But I just need you to know that we understand what's coming. We don't need doomerism. We need hope. We need your resources because, let's face it, this is one of the most difficult economic situations the young generation in America has ever seen. So, I beg of you, don't just share your experiences, don't just share your perspectives, we do need those, but share your resources with us, okay? We're gonna need it, the younger need it even more. Whether it's housing, make room in your hearts for people on the peninsula, okay? Those workers need homes too. I'm one of them, I work 4 jobs to afford to live here. And I'm doing this work today in this room. So, thanks for all you've done, help us do it too.
I'm Chris Walton, and I hope I'm going to be able to make this statement coherently. One of the things I think that I see that's very different about the way we participate in democracy is our understanding of it. And we have become so polarized that the basis for a participatory democracy is that people on all sides of the issue sit down and have a conversation. Nobody gets everything they want. We have to negotiate it. We have to put something out there where we can, live together well. I went to college because of Eisenhower and the National Defense Loan. I've known many, many reasonable Republicans and non-Republicans who had different perspectives, but we were able to come together on enough issues, the essential and fundamental human issues that affect everybody. And so I feel it's incumbent on my party, which is the Democratic Party, to make even more attempts and to reach across and for us to try to support if we see some people from the other party that you could actually sit down and talk to. Because democracy, it resides in participation and in a variety of viewpoints and us building consensus. Without it, no matter whether it's left or right, it just simply becomes an orthodox view.
I'm Ephraim Valentine. Some of you may know me from my volunteer work with the Green Party and with the Marine Coast Water District. Over the past 5 years, I've taken some time to focus on my family. I have 2 children, an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I've encouraged my wife to contribute her time towards the East Garrison Community Service District, which I was a part of for a number of years myself. I just want to say that I've recently traveled the world vibing out, seeing what Spain is like, seeing what Copenhagen, Denmark is like, supposedly, the best place on earth in terms of the happiness score. I went to Rome Italy, and this is all within the past month. I was looking for a place that I thought might be better for my family. The loss of reproductive rights have been hugely detrimental to women in our country. I have a new daughter. I need her to have freedom.
Yes.
I came back, and I know that this is home. Here is home. It is the best place on earth. Screw Denmark, Copenhagen. It's here. And here, you all are the resistance. If anyone loves Star Wars like I love Star Wars, I recently watched the show Andor, and it won an Emmy, and it was talking about democracy in the Galactic Senate. I visited Valencia, Spain, where they filmed the Galactic Senate. It was beautiful. But this is still better, with you all, real resistance fighters. And please remember that you are the hope that I hope also to be a part of in the future. I now have more time. I am a furloughed federal employee. I'm speaking as an individual, of course. I'm available, hit me up. And yeah, I love you all. I think this is the best group of people here.
So I'm going to change the subject, but also head toward the end zone. I want to mention Trump. And I want to mention the Supreme Court. Enormous disappointments. But enormous reasons why we need to up our game. We need to up our game. If nothing else, it ought to motivate you to do whatever you can. Because the only place we're going to have serious impact is locally. We've got some serious local issues. And I'm going to go back to the renters issue and people who seldom vote. I'm going back to ICE and driving people away from the voting process. What can we do? The one quote that's on your table, not every table, but the one quote that just still sticks with me is very simple. And it was Fred Ross, who was a really organizer in the Saul Alinsky era and the Stud Circle era. Anyway, it's a long time ago. And his quote, well, he was an organizer, a very successful organizer. He helped Cesar Chavez get his act together too. There's a mentoring process there. Anyway, so Fred Ross, simple line. He said, if you have an opportunity to if you have an opportunity to say something, think about asking a question instead. I like that because it starts conversation. If you want to say something about, isn't Trump the craps? Well, that's a statement. It doesn't encourage any reaction. They just say, whatever. But suppose you ask them, where are you from? Or you ask, are you new to the peninsula? Are you and this can turn any age. You can do a 12-year-old, you can do an 88-year-old. It doesn't matter. You're around the town, you're around places, you're sitting next to a table and you hear something, you can say, oh, I heard you mention Copenhagen. It says, what do you like about Copenhagen? I mean, it doesn't matter. You just need to have the confidence that you can start something. Because it doesn't start somewhere else. It starts with us. It starts with you. And I just hope you can keep it up and keep going. And if nothing else, Trump and the Supreme Court would be a motivator. If nothing else, it ought to be a motivator. Get active. And my target, my hope is that there are two issues that I hope we can kind of come together on, not necessarily in an organized way, but how do we treat that issue? One is get a record Democratic turnout in midterms. Set a record. In Monterey County, whatever it is, a normally low participation voting block that shows up, the voting group that shows up. And if it's in the 30% area, I think that's high in the midterms. But my God, 30%. If we kind of get active about voting in June, we're part of the wave that we expect to have some impact in the larger context. But what can we do locally? Pick out where you can be active and then be active. That's point number one, is a record turnout, and I'm on the Democratic Central Committee, and that'll be my number one issue pushing forward about whatever the issue, whatever the structure is for the Central Committee, I'll be pushing for a record turnout, get off your ass, Central Committee, and do something that's real, as opposed to doing a thing that you did last year, or last time around. That's point number one. Point number two is the renters issue. They don't vote. A lot of them are infrequent voters. If we spend a little time working on the tenant issue, we can get a fairly significant turnout if we focus. And the reason we focus is because it's a live issue in the city of Monterey. It's a live issue in the city of Marina. And it's an enormous issue in Salinas. And we need to turn out the vote in those cities for sure. Well, not, mainly it's Salinas, so what I'm talking about right now. There's a serious issue on the ballot. I think it's in June. Somebody confirm, is that true? Okay. And we need to help Salinas. We need to help turn out the vote. We need to help people who are frightened of ICE. Offer to go with them. Offer to pick up their ballot. Vote at home. You deliver it. They don't have to show up at a mailbox. They don't have to show up at the polls. If they're scared, crapless, or whatever, they're not encouraged to vote in this regime, in this environment we're in. But we can make it easier for them if we just get a little more focused on how creative about how we might help. And going back to the Fred Harris vote about how do we help, that's the question. Even if we on the peninsula want to help in Salinas, the question is, how can we help? Not, I'm here to help, show me. No. Engage them on what they think the priorities are, the neighborhoods they think are important, the messages they think are important, and we pick them up and run with it. But we got to do that. We got to do those two are really, really key issues. Forget Trump in your, whatever your dialogue is with your outreach and effort and interaction and so on. Forget that. It's not going to go anywhere. You're probably going to just see fellow travelers and so on, they'll agree with you, but you don't have a discussion. But suppose you ask them something else. Are you worried about the midterms? Get them involved. You're the leader of the conversation. Make it a question. Don't make it a statement and you're supposed to interact with that. Don't. Ask a question. So.
I've been making calls to Democrats around the country for, I don't know, 3 weeks or something. And it really makes me feel a lot better, but they're really good online voting tools these days. So just go to vote. You can do it. I've been mostly doing Pennsylvania and California, but I was feeling like helpless and pissed off. So I started doing this, and they want you all the time. They need people. And even today, we'll go home and call some more, and it's very well organized. So you just sit there with your phone or your computer, and it makes the calls for you, and it records everything, and it goes fast, so they get the results. So I just want to say that that's always something you can do if you're looking around for something else.
Because immigration is such a huge issue in Monterey County. I want you to know that on Wednesday, November 12th, the League of Women Voters in Monterey County is having 2 speakers on the subject. An expert on how immigration has been affected in our county, and the superintendent of schools who's going to be addressing the impact on education. It's during the noon hour. It's at the Unitarian Church. Very low cost lunch, and if you don't want to buy lunch, you just come in and you listen. So I invite all of you to be there. It should be great.
So thank you, and I want to thank you. You're my favorite people. I just love the experiences that I've had. I think I know everybody in the room, but we gotta end at some point. This is a good time. I want to close with an standing ovation or whatever it is, a full house ovation for all of you. All of you. We thank you. Individuals thank other individuals or whatever. But you're a great group. You're a mixed group. You know, you volunteer in various different ways. The reason I know you may be an particular interest in me, but you may have a lot more interest in that. And I know you're active in other ways, and that's just the way it is, but that's the way it ought to be. So anyway, full ovation for everybody here. have a second round of applause for the servers that kind of accommodated our schedule? Thank you, and I will say, meeting adjourned.